this as some Bannon-backed Senate hopefuls are already distancing themselves from the Breitbart boss. Here to discuss is Matt Schlapp, the former political director for George W. Bush, and Bill Kristol, editor of the Weekly Standard. Gentlemen, great to see you. Bill Kristol, what of the base? Who will they side with?
Well, we'll see what comes out. I mean, I don't think this is a personal squabble between Trump and Bannon. It's like saying that when John Dean testified against Richard Nixon, gee, John Dean and Nixon are having kind of a fight. Bannon spent a year at Trump's side and thinks the Russia investigation is a huge existential threat to the Trump presidency. Why does he think that? He's not a stupid man. And why did Donald Trump order his lawyer last night to send a cease and desist letter to Bannon? Not to shut Bannon up, he's already spoken, but to shut others up who might speak, especially younger staffers who might have seen things that would be intimidated by the thought of a lawyer's letter. So I think this is a huge crisis for the Trump presidency. It's not just a fight between two individuals.
Matt, is it a huge crisis for the Trump presidency?
Look, it's a lot of drama. It's a lot of unnecessary and unneeded gossipy coverage over people settling scores using this journalist to do it. And I hope people at the White House who were there previously and who are there now have learned a lesson, which is, anything that distracts from what is a conservative agenda is a mistake. Look, we could have another Supreme Court pick. We have what's going on in Iran. We have the greater questions that are involved in the Middle East. We have all these questions about our economy and the fact that it's on the right track. They passed this tax bill. Why do anything to divert from an agenda that is a conservative agenda? So, Allison, I'll answer your question. The conservative base is sticking with Donald Trump because Donald Trump listened to them about what they wanted to see implemented from the White House, and he is doing it, and they appreciate it.
So, Bill, when you say that you see this differently and that you think that this has larger implications, what do you think it means that Steve Bannon is calling that meeting with the Russian lawyer and Don Jr., et cetera, treasonous and unpatriotic? Why is he saying that?
Well, he's got his opinion about the meeting. He doesn't like Don Jr. That's one thing. But more broadly, I mean, obviously Bannon's going to testify before Robert Mueller. Mueller will say, do you know? What do you know about that meeting? Who told you about it? Did other people know about it? Are there contemporaneous emails that you've seen? I mean, I just think, obviously, Mueller would have thought to do that anyway. But it reminds one of how I think of how damaging the Mueller investigation could be to the Trump presidency. And again, I'm very struck by Trump's reaction. Just think of it, Allison, as sort of like, there he is. Trump's in the White House, as Matt says, a huge Iran crisis, which I hope the administration deals with well and rallies people in Congress to put sanctions on the central bank of Iran and so forth, and a lot of other issues. Trump spends time yesterday afternoon, calling his personal lawyer to say, I want a cease and desist letter going out here. And he knows that it can't affect Bannon at this point, but he wants to deter other people from coming forth to talk about what they saw on the campaign. That, for me, is very revealing.
I don't think that's right, Allison. Look, I think the question here is Steve Bannon has had lots of comments about Bob Mueller and about this investigation. He's called it something of a canard. He said we're wasting money. He said over and over again there was no collusion. Yeah, he's characterizing this meeting in a way that I think is way over the line. I think he should pull it back because it disagrees with every other statement he's made about Bob Mueller and about this charge of collusion with the Russians. And I think it's way over the line. And I think there's a lot of conservatives around this country that are disappointed in Steve, that believe that you can't make all these public statements that are contradictory on Bob Mueller and the investigation. And I think that's the problem that he faces. This looks personal. It looks petty. It looks like he's trying to get back at people because he was let go from the White House staff. And I think Steve is better than this, and I think he should pull it back. But if he doesn't pull it back, it doesn't matter, because in the end of the day, conservatives are sticking with Donald Trump, going back to your original question, because they like the agenda, Allison. This is not a question about whose allegiance they will have. They're going to have the president's back as long as he keeps doing these conservative things.
I hear you. But, Matt, one follow-up question. Does it concern you that it's not just Steve Bannon talking to Michael Wolff in this book? It's all of these advisors.
Stupid.
It's all of the inner sanctum.
Stupid.
And what they keep saying is that they didn't believe that he was going to win, didn't think that he was fit to win, that he agreed with that, and that they think that he is not up to the job.
Allison, I think the problem with talking to this reporter, I've never met him, I don't know him, but the problem with giving him this kind of access is that it fuels all the drama for television shows and cable news
that wants to portray,
that wants to portray Donald Trump in a certain light. All I can tell you is the Donald Trump that I have experienced is much different from. I have not been given this book. I haven't read it. I need to read it when it comes out. Although it'll disgust me. This is not the Donald Trump that I know and who I have interacted with.
10 seconds.
He seems very curious. He's on top of his game.
Okay.
And he listens to what conservatives want to get done, and he implements.
Quickly, Bill Kristol, final word.
I think we're seeing the real Donald Trump, and I think the real Donald Trump is in a lot of trouble.
Bill Kristol.